Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chatura. Thank you for joining us today, and just leave a couple of minutes for a few more attendees to trickle in. But I guess we could begin. So, my name is Chatura Elkadu. I'm the head of product for Central Innovation, and have been working on the CAD and data solutions products for the past 15 years. And today, I'd like to start with a simple question: how many systems does your business use to manufacture a product? Most manufacturers will answer with something like CAD, PDM, ERP, perhaps a scheduling tool, spreadsheets, email, maybe even paper on the shop floor. The interesting thing is that none of these systems are actually the problem. The problem is everything that happens between them. So today I want to talk about connected manufacturing, not as another software platform, but as a way of thinking about how information should move through a manufacturing business. So we'll look at where manufacturers struggle today, why these challenges exist, and how connecting engineering, planning, and operations can dramatically improve efficiency without replacing the systems you already own. Manufacturing has evolved enormously over the past decade. So customers expect greater product choice, shorter lead times, and more customized solutions than ever before. And at the same time, manufacturers are dealing with labor shortages, supply chain uncertainty, and increasing material costs and growing compliance requirements. So, yet, when we visit many businesses, actually, personally, we still see planning being managed through Excel spreadsheets. So, engineering exports a BOM, someone edits it, and purchasing creates another copy. Operations has another version, production prints another. Everyone believes they're working from the latest information, but often they aren't. The challenge isn't that manufacturing lacks software, it's that the information becomes fragmented as it moves through the business. The more complex the business becomes, the greater the cost of disconnected information. So, when we hear the term connected manufacturing, many people immediately think about automation or Industry 4.0, but it actually is much simpler than that. So, connected manufacturing means that information only needs to be created once. So engineering creates the product information, operation uses it, purchasing trusts it, and production executes it, finance reports it on it, and no one recreates it. No one manually copies it. Every department adds value to the information rather than rebuilding it. So that creates a continuous digital flow through the organization. So what's the missing layer? Many manufacturers have invested heavily in engineering systems. Many have also invested heavily in ERP systems, but there's often a gap between them. Engineering knows exactly how to build the product. ERP knows how to transact inventory and manage finances. Neither is responsible for preparing engineering information for manufacturing. That's where many manual processes begin. People export spreadsheets, they rename parts, they restructure bill of materials, they add purchased components, they add quantities. That work consumes enormous amount of engineering and operations time. The missing layer is manufacturing coordination, the place where engineering data becomes manufacturing ready. So, one concept becoming increasingly important is the digital thread. It's a simple idea. A product should have one source of truth from concept through to the production. So, engineering creates it, every other department consumes it. Unfortunately, many businesses unintentionally break that thread. So every spreadsheet, every manual export, every copy of a BOM, every email attachment creates another version of the truth. So connected manufacturing preserves that digital thread all the way through the organization, giving every department confidence they're working from the same information. So how does information should flow? Let's look at what the journey could look like. So a customer requests a product. Engineering designs it in CAD. The design is released through Product Data Management System, PDM. Instead of manually exporting the data, the engineering bill of material flows directly into manufacturing collaboration platform. So operation reviews it, manufacturing specific items are added, the BOM becomes the manufacturing BOM, M-BOM, or the production ready BOM. Materials planning immediately understands what inventory already exists, what needs to be purchased, and when production can begin. The scheduling can allocate work centers, purchasing can place orders, production can release work orders, finance receives accurate product information through ERP. And notice something important: no one recreated data. The information simply matured as it flowed through the organization. Let's have a look at one simple example using some of the solutions we have at hand. So as you know, we are primarily using SolidWorks for our operations nowadays. I believe like most of the attendees here are SolidWorks users on day-to-day basis, and some of you already may have a PDM at hand as well. And as a part of the demonstration, we'll have a look at some of the new solutions we put in the market, such as MaxLink and MaxFlow as well. All right, so let's begin with something familiar, SolidWorks itself. And what you're looking at is the PDM Vault within the Windows Explorer, where you can straight away open up the models in SolidWorks. And what we're trying to do here is to execute a modification to an existing part. So PDM ensures no unintentional modifications are made. It requires the user with the necessary permissions to check out the files, as in obtain modification permissions. So here what we're trying to do is to add an additional feature, and we need to provide the reasoning behind that manufacturing or the design change as well whilst we check in the file. Let's put in the comments, let's add it. And finally, we check the file in, making sure everyone in the business has access to the latest version of the file. And we need to do the same for the overall assembly as well by checking it in. And as an additional step, we will have a look at how we might update the drawing as well. Should skip that part, open up the drawing, check it out, and approve the drawing too. So once it goes back into the vault, all the users, including SolidWorks and non-SolidWorks, are able to review the current condition of the status of the assembly by using the Windows Explorer that has PDM embedded. So through the data card itself, once you're happy with the bill of material and the changes, you could send the information to MaxLink. So MaxLink is a web-based collaborative environment for all the users within the organization to review and generate the MBOM from the EBOM, and that's permission controlled as well. So what it does is it'll straight away convert your bill of material into an collaboration ready format. So this is the web interface where you can open up your assembly, review the bill of material table. You can review that in the hierarchical view or the tree view, as most of you are familiar with. And at any point of time, if you need to add non-modeled items, you could search for that in your inventory, because in this situation, and simply drag and drop into the existing assembly into the right location. So it'll update the hierarchical structure, and also it'll update the bill of material as well, while sending notifications to all stakeholders, making sure everyone has access to the latest version of the bill of material, in this situation, the MBOM. So now we got the information from SolidWorks to PDM, and PDM actually sent it to MaxLink. And also I want to show you a scenario where MaxLink could then send information into MaxFlow for material requirements planning as well. So we'll have a look at another assembly example. So in this situation, what we have is a bit of a complex assembly with a few more parts. And what you have enabled now is how to send information or bill of material information with non-model items into your manufacturing planning systems. In this situation, we are introducing MaxFlow as the MRP solution. So once we're happy with the bill of material, there's an option to send or push the bill of material to MRP. And it'll let you pick the MRP system of your choice or an ERP, and you can simply push the information to MaxFlow. So one more thing you might notice is here you can add additional information if required, but there's no duplication of information. So once the information is pushed to MaxFlow, it actually gives you information where or when the job and the latest, which version of bill of material got sent. And what you're looking at now is MaxFlow, where it actually breaks the assembly down into individual items in your inventory. and it actually captures the bill of material in its essence as well, how it was meant to be. At the same time, it'll use the same bill of material name or the bill of material header as the product. So it'll list your bill of material as a product as well. So it does three things. So essentially, bill of materials are coming in as a subassembly or an assembly. It could be a product or part of a product, but you have the option of making that distinction and assigning the right level of um, product classification or the item classification in your MRP system. So what you're looking at now is the bill of material, which lists out all the components, and also it'll let you either increase or decrease or modify the quantities, add additional items, or you can set up your operations required to put this under together as well. So the routing information. So what we're trying to do here is that we can actually open up the bill of material straight away as it got imported and add operations to it as an additional item which is relevant for material requirements planning and manufacturing execution. So once the operations gets added, the cost information for operations could be listed here as well. And then later on, what you need to do is to make sure this product gets assigned to an sales order and ideally quotation first, then sales order, then doing your manufacturing planning, going into an MRP system or from the MRP system into the finance system, pardon me. So once your product is ready, as I said before, what you're going to look at now is how you generate a quotation using that product. And this MRP system has a CRM embedded as well. That's how you get the customer information. You can specify the quotation specific details, the payment terms, etc. And either you can send out an email through this MRP system Maxflow itself, and you'll have the quote ID. And once this quote gets confirmed, what generally happens is the customer associated with it, the contact, they get classified as a customer. And what we have made sure is in this scenario, we are using MIOB as the finance system for demonstration. This customer gets synchronized with MIOB as well. So we make sure not only the manufacturing information, but even the client information, the CRM related details are synchronized and real time, minimizing any duplication efforts or requirements. So simultaneously, we could actually have a look at the sales orders, which is within the MRP system itself. And we could generate an invoice based on that specific requirement and specify the invoice due date in this system. And then again, I have the sales order here. The sales order gets synchronized with uh, the MIOB system. Let me do a quick search. Again, so the invoice gets generated in MIOB with the necessary customer information as well as the cost information associated with it. So one benefit of an external finance system is it actually takes care of all the taxes and the GST information as well, which is really relevant for finance requirements or compliance requirements with finance. And an additional thing it does is it actually synchronizes the inventory items with the finance system if that's a requirement, because as we understand, MYOB and Xero can do warehouse and inventory management as well. So that's also an option we have with Maxflow for synchronization. So that was a very brief, short example of how information could be interconnected. So what are the business outcomes you're looking for? So ultimately, connected manufacturing isn't about technology. So it's about business outcomes. When information flows naturally, engineering spends less time maintaining spreadsheets. So purchasing gains confidence in material requirements. Production receives accurate work instructions, and management gains visibility earlier. And most importantly, customers receive products sooner. So business become scalable as well. So instead of hiring more administrators to manage information, they enable existing teams to focus on engineering, manufacturing, and innovation. So where does every product fit in this particular example I've shown you? So this is an important point because organizations often ask whether one system replaces another, which is not necessarily the case. The answer is no. So PDM governs engineering information. It's in this scenario, MaxLink connects engineering with manufacturing and operations. MaxFlow plans and manages manufacturing execution. And ERP, or the finance system, take care of the transactional requirements, and it becomes a system of record. And each system performs what it was designed to do. So connected manufacturing simply ensures they work together. So I'd like to finish this part of the presentation with one final thought. So manufacturing or manufacturers don't succeed because they own most software. They succeed because information moves quickly, accurately, with confidence across the business. So connected manufacturing isn't about replacing systems, it's about removing the gaps between them. So when engineering, planning, operations, and production becomes connected, manufacturers spend less time managing data and more time building great products. So thanks again for attending my part of the session. But I think the most exciting part is coming up next. I'd like to hand over the floor to Ahmed Lashin, the territory manager for DriveWorks. It's a very powerful process and design automation system which complements connected manufacturing, and you're going to get your minds blown about how far it has come all this while in terms of easing out the whole manufacturing process or the administration and efforts involved with the design and configurations itself. So over to you, Lashin.
Thanks, Satura, and thanks for your great presentation. It's good to learn how far the connected manufacturing system and MaxFlow and MaxLink have gone so far. So we're still in the same topic. We're still talking about connecting systems, as Shatura said. But before we go further, let me just introduce myself quickly. I'm Nashin, DriveWorks Territory Manager for Asia Pacific. As Shatura mentioned earlier, I'm a DriveWorks user for more than 15 years. And I work in the background supporting Center Innovation. So Center Innovation has a brilliant technical team capable of delivering training and support to DriveWorks. But, I joined presenting DriveWorks, so that's why they invited me. But they have a brilliant team who can take care of DriveWorks journey with you guys if you choose to go down this path. So let's move on and connect this topic with the previous topics that Chatura mentioned by highlighting what other challenges we have. Like we earlier discussed some challenges in bill of material communication between engineers and production, and also how this bill of material can go to your ERP or MRP like MaxFlow, and how this data can flow together. But let's take another step now back and talk about, okay, what about the engineering itself in preparing this bill of material and preparing those custom designed changes? Because there is one more department we are missing here, the sales team. So how the sales team communicate with engineering and how they manage this kind of custom designs. So typically in majority of the businesses who offer customizable product, configurable products, they end up having a workflow like this. Salesperson collect inquiry from the customers and user, and they send it to engineers. Engineer fire up SolidWorks, hey, let's do this manual customization of the design. And most of the time it's changing geometry, replacing component. It could be designing a very complex configurable products like maybe the homes or vans or stuff like this, that's very very complicated assemblies, but still it's same but different. So any product fails under the category falls under the category of same but different as a customizable product and consumes time from the SolidWorks user to keep doing changes over and over and over again. You end up using like back and go or copy tree if you're using PDM to prepare a new set of documents, open it up in SolidWorks, spend a day or two or even longer to prepare the new changes. And guess what? Customers always changes their mind. So it goes back to customer, and customer gives you a new version, engineers still wasting time and over again. So how we can automate this process, how we can make sales and engineering to be fully automated so they can flow with other systems. So you'll end up having sales doing inquiries, is go to SolidWorks, goes to MaxFlow, goes to production right away. So let's have a look at what DriveWorks is and how can DriveWorks help you in these processes. So first of all, DriveWorks as a business, we started back in 2001 in Manchester, UK. So DriveWorks been in the market for 25 years and well known, and actually is the most powerful design automation solution in the market. And we are only working with SolidWorks. So that's a good thing about it. So we have thousands of customers globally using DriveWorks. Beside, you already have DriveWorks Express solution available within your SolidWorks license called DriveWorks Express. But be careful. It's a very basic automation concept. I mean, it's free. We'll not give everything for free, right? So it has just a basic part and assembly automation. It doesn't automate the drawing content, but good enough to have a quick taste of what DriveWorks could do. So what is DriveWorks? How can it help us in automating engineering and sales and all of this? So DriveWorks Design Automation is an add-in to SolidWorks, lives inside SolidWorks, we'll see in a moment, and you can use it to build rules and formulas to automate your product. Whenever I started with this introduction, everyone imagined, oh, we are talking here about programming things. That's not my area. No, don't worry. Everything in DriveWorks is based on Excel formulas. So if you know how to use Excel, which most likely all of you, then you will be able to learn DriveWorks quickly, maybe in a day or a couple of days, depending on which level of DriveWorks solution suits you better. Then you can easily implement DriveWorks in proper time frame. I don't want to say in very quick time frame because the time frame of DriveWorks implementation depends on your product complexity. So you build rules and equation, you feed DriveWorks with all your product IP because DriveWorks is a license similar to SolidWorks license. You have to your machine, you build your rules, you build your user interface, and good to go. Use it over and over again to automate. So this quick video will give us an idea about what is a design automation in DriveWorks. It's basically for all industries except like not exclusive to a specific industry, any industry doing using SolidWorks and would like to automate design changes, complex or simple design changes can use DriveWorks. You'll see in the next bit of the video here, agriculture trailer configurator. You see it lives here inside SolidWorks. You can configure and choose different accessories, different sizes of the trailer. Obviously, you need to build this UI for your product, but we gave you all the controls, we give you all the buttons and everything. You just add it there, and you can build it even. I don't know if you have noticed this. In this bit here, it shows an error saying, oh, this option is not available. How many times your sales team offers a customer something is not applicable, and you have to end up telling the sales, no, this is not engineeringly possible. You can't fit this with this. So with DriveWorks, you will build the UI to prevent such wrong selection. So let's have a look. So once you choose all the accessories, you can hit preview. That's when DriveWorks take control of your SolidWorks and updates the geometry right away, and also does a price calculation. I'll talk more about price calculation in a moment as well. So once you hit generate, you see DriveWorks is automating drawing, parts, assemblies, DXF generation, PDF generation, all kind of outputs will be generated in minutes automatically by DriveWorks. I know it sounds like a magic, but that's been happening for 25 years, and we have thousands of customers using it in different level of complexity of automation. And you can keep using it over and over again. Configure, click release. Yes, it can literally automate all your design changes. I know businesses that they literally run the entire business based on one engineer just doing the implementation, setup, and maintenance of DriveWorks, and everything is fully automated from there. Most of the time when I start with this introduction, a lot of attendees, they start thinking back of their head, okay, yeah, DriveWorks sounds very good for automating basic assemblies. My product is very complex. I don't think that any automation tool can handle it. That's the reason I added this slide here, to prevent such thoughts. So when you look at this company, it's in Slovakia called Microstep. This company is doing CNC machines. You can imagine how heavy such model is in SolidWorks. We're talking about thousands of components. They even stated that preparing the entire CNC machine with the drawing and all of the kind of output needed for production and sales and everything is a process of 2 weeks. So imagine an engineer sitting 2 weeks to prepare a machine. So they fully implemented DriveWorks to automate the whole process, and they documented with us a case study that those 2 weeks after automation became 30 minutes. So that shows us that it doesn't matter how complex your engineering details is. It's more about like what is the percentage of your product that is configurable. Because if you're doing some R&D, obviously, no solution will automate it for you. That's an R&D. You have to do it yourself. So I have to start asking questions. How many percentage of my day-to-day process is repetitive design changes that I can automate it by DriveWorks? Believe me, if you only have 20%, automating it will save you a huge amount of time. So more and more case studies from different industries. This is an HVAC one, and we have in case studies in heaps and heaps of industries. So I introduced the concept of DriveWorks. It's a design automation solution. But let me add another concept here, that DriveWorks is not only design automation, it's also a sales configurator. Yeah, so the sales configurator here is another important pillar of DriveWorks, because let me tell you the story quickly. So after we did a quick success in DriveWorks globally, back in 2000, I think around 13 or 14, customers started reaching out to us saying, guys, you did a brilliant job building DriveWorks, and this user interface that lives inside SolidWorks is amazing. But can we have this user interface to be outside SolidWorks? Because our users is not SolidWorks users. They are sales, they are the end users themselves, or could be distributors, whoever. We don't want to get them to use SolidWorks to fill in DriveWorks inside it. That's when we decided, let's make DriveWorks a sales configurator. Let's allow you to publish this UI on the web so anyone can use it from anywhere. But that comes with more features. It's not only publishing UI. We have to give you a workflow to manage a sales order. We have to give you also integration with other systems. And that's when we'll get back to the topics that Shatura introduced earlier about connecting systems. Because now we can have DriveWorks communicating with your ERP, MRP, your MaxFlow, your any system. So now you have all systems connected. You don't have to worry about passing data from here to there. Yeah, so I will answer the interesting question in the chat. I'll answer it in a moment once I show you this a little bit quick video of the sales configurator. So you'll see in this video, it's an example of a scissor lift configurator that shows a customer accessing from web browser configuring the scissor lift with a 3D preview. This preview is not the full SolidWorks model. You don't want to show your SolidWorks model to anyone because it has your entire IP, right? That's why we have a feature in DriveWorks called 3D Preview, which is basically modeling for sales in a simplified way with a protected IP, and you show the amount of details you want to show. And this 3D Preview is not just a preview, it's actually interactive interface. Means you can drag stuff, you can click on stuff, so you can use it as a data entry method as well. I'll get back to 3D in a moment because it answers the question in the chat. You can also automate quotation, you can automate documents, all the sales documentation can be full automated. And by the way, when I say automating quotations, you know, like your MRP or ERP has to be your source of truth for the raw material availability, for the raw material pricing, and so on. What DriveWorks do here, it communicates with your ERP or MRP system, collecting the availability of the stock and the price of it, and it can do the price calculation. But if you say, I don't want DriveWorks to do this, I want my ERP or MRP to do it, that's fine. DriveWorks will send the data there, or maybe DriveWorks will get SolidWorks to send the bill of materials through MaxLink to the ERP or MRP, then the price calculation will happen there. So you choose how you connect systems together, okay? Because it's very flexible system. You build it as you like. So talking about you build it as you like, again, it's your implementation, your ownership. So you set up everything and you control it in-house, which means if for any reason the main implementer who built DriveWorks just decide, you know, I'm leaving the business, I'm not staying here anymore, you can easily hire another engineer, get him trained up by CI, and you keep going. I've seen this story a lot with different customers. Once the implementer leaves, someone else join, get trained up on DriveWorks, and keep maintaining it, because it's not programming. You own it. You build the workflow as you like to suit your entire business workflow for the sales order, when it starts, when the design automation should happen, when documentation should be automated, and so on. And as I said earlier, DriveWorks can integrate with other systems like Shatura showed you early, PDM, DriveWorks fully integrates with BDM, so it checks in files, BDM professional to be clear. Check in files there, check out files, update versions, revisions. Obviously, it will update the bill of material there. So if you have a Max link to get the bill of material out, that will be updated by DriveWorks first. And any other system, basically. I mean, if you have CAM software, DriveWorks can integrate with CAM software. Anything you can imagine, basically. Yeah. So the sales configurator expands the capabilities of DriveWorks beyond just automating SolidWorks. And I referred a lot to the question in the chat because it's a very, very interesting topic here, that can DriveWorks have the ability for the customer to pick and place stuff in real time? This is the question we have there. This is one of the features of the 3D previews that I showed you early, because we decided to make the 3D is not just an elegant 3D for sales purpose. No, it's an interactive environment. So you can actually use it for your customers or even internal team members to use it to interact and say, you know, I want to place this one there and I want to do this here and that's so on. So you can click and interact and define the location of components based on a 3D representation. I can show you more about this when we have examples that I can bring up. But before I move further from here, I want to figure out from the audience here, from everyone, we have a big team joining us up now today. What is the most important topics that you guys are interested in? Are you interested to listen more about the technicality of the design automation and see more about it? Or are you interested in the sales configurator? So there is a question coming up on your screens in a moment. Please pick and choose which one you prefer, design automation or sales configurator. And let's see which area we need to continue talking about in the webinar. I'll give you a chance to answer the question. Design automation is winning so far. Yeah, 9 design automation, 2 sales configurator. Okay, 3. Yeah, nah. I think sales configurator sounds like losing. Wow, 18 design automation and 5 sales configurator. I give you a chance. Maybe sales configurator will pick up, but I think it's. I will answer those questions in the chat, but looks like the sales configurator is failing here. Does DriveWorks good with OneDrive? Oh, okay. I mean, OneDrive or BDM, it's not. We decide as DriveWorks which one is better. It's a SolidWorks decision, you know, because DriveWorks is automating SolidWorks. So if SolidWorks works perfectly with OneDrive, then okay. If it doesn't, then it's not okay for us. And I believe Shatur and his team will be able to give you more detailed answer if SolidWorks works well with OneDrive, yes or no, and what is could be related issues if it is not supported. Yeah. Does yeah. So yes, it has a. So the next part of the question, change the position of attachment on a silo tank in different heights, and yeah, 100%. Like I know customers that they use a tank or silo and they click on the face to define where they want to have the valves, or sorry, not valves. Just forget the terminology of the industry a bit. It's been a while, but yeah, to click on the track and choose where they want to move stuff. And I can show you an example of this in a moment. That's good. I think, yeah, we have here the design automation is winning 19 design automation. So we have to do the design automation in this case. Let's now go to our favorite interface, SolidWorks. So I'll do this presentation live, and I'll bring up my SolidWorks, as you can see on my screen, to discuss one of the examples. I think I have connectivity issue. I think I'm back. Sorry, I had quick technical issue there. So what I'm planning to bring up here is one of the examples like the electrical enclosure. So after the webinar, please use this website. We'll send it in chat, which is driveworkslive.com. This website is a demonstration website that shows you the capabilities of DriveWorks. So you can use it to explore different examples that we made. So I picked an example that I will show you today, which is electrical enclosure. This example is just showing us the automation of the enclosure sheet metal body and how you can even define um, okay. Sorry again, looks like I still have some technical issues. Okay, let me run it from here for now. Then I'll continue the running of this configurator on my machine. Yeah, so this electrical enclosure example, the way we built this design automation demo, that we ask the user about the enclosure length and width and height and all of the related electrical components inside it. So you see here in this interface, we have a 3D preview. This 3D preview is not designed for the purpose of sales purpose. It's not like this. It's mainly for interactive environment, so that user, whoever he is, can see the updated geometry and can decide the location of the required components. So here I can define the height of the enclosure, if you want, or the width of the enclosure. And you see when I change any parameter, the 3D preview updates automatically. And I have a choices here to define the height as well. I can define it to be 10 or millimeter. And I can define here what's the different material I need for my electric enclosure. Obviously, that will drive SolidWorks in the background, generating all the geometries automatically. So I can choose here the different material I need, galvanized and so on. I can choose even the material gauge, the thickness. Let's choose something very thin, like 31 thickness. Okay, so yeah. Choosing here the material thickness, and then I will choose the IP rating. You know, in this industry, IP rating here is basically how this enclosure is isolated against dust or water or whatever. So when I choose here total dust, you see an error popped up saying, hey man, you cannot use IP rating total dust with this thin material. It has to be thicker. So what I'm trying to show you here is that you can design your configurator or your design automation UI to prevent wrong selections, to make sure that users will never select a thickness or parameters that doesn't suit the customer needs. And it even proposes here, it says you have to use gauge 20, that's more suitable, or higher in thickness. So yeah, gauge 20, that's been applied already, that's good. Yeah, so there is also next step, which is the interesting one. I think that answers the question for the tank and the other interests that you guys showed. So I told you earlier that this 3D preview is not just a preview for like fantasy thing for sales. It's actually interactive environment. So you can click and choose in this place, I want to insert this. And you can have in your UI to add component and pick from a library. Like I want to have a single phase component, 3-phase. Those are static standard components. You can even go far beyond this. You can have this insert component inserting configurable components. So you have different hierarchy of projects. So when I click insert component, it brings up another sub project for configuring small sub-assembly, so I can configure it and insert it in place as well. DriveWorks can go far beyond what you can imagine in the automation. So here, for example, I'll pick this one. Let's say I want a 2 out of it, and I will insert. If I decided later on, which is the next part of the question being asked earlier, to move this one, like I click on this one, I want to move it. I believe there's an option here somewhere to, yeah, move. Here we go. Click on it, and I'll click to move it here. So yeah, I can interact and move stuff as well. I can copy, I can delete. So you can use the 3D to design the whole complexity. Imagine if you don't have the 3D, that means you have to have a UI describing each and every position menu. That like at the row number 2 at the distance X places. Now that isn't easy to imagine even. Okay, extras. We have in extras here some accessories. Actually, no. Let me let me complete it up from here. I had a technical issue early in firing it up from here, but now I think everything is okay. So instead of using it from the web, I'll bring it up from here. So all the previous clicks, I'll just do it here quickly because you know what I'm interested in is actually showing you the automation happening live in my SolidWorks. Okay, so that's a slightly different interface, not big difference. So I'll customize it to be like 660 and galvanized again, let's say gauge whatever 13, and same operating things, and we'll insert some electrical components here as we did early. Yeah, and one more component here as well. Okay, so now I will move on to the next stage, selecting some and finally, I have a price calculation to me. That's how much it costs accurately based on integration with ERP. So if I'm happy with this, I will click complete order. I'll just put a name for now, just to finish up, and I'll hit submit. So what you will see happening in a moment that DriveWorks will fire up the component. So let me open up Autopilot. So in a moment, what's going to happen is that DriveWorks will do a back and go, a copy of the template of DriveWorks, and will not copy everything. Will copy only the components that are configurable. So anything else which is kind of a standard accessories or whatever, DriveWorks will not copy, which is a very good point to be aware of, that DriveWorks will not copy your accessories or even your common parts. So once DriveWorks copy the components that will change, then it will open up one by one, changing the geometry, updating the drawing, saving the DXF and PDF and so on, then generating the whole assembly. I mentioned something a moment ago. I said DriveWorks will not copy the common parts. What I'm referring to is the common parts here is that, you know, sometimes, for example, I'll take the tank example because there's repeated questions about tanks. So let's say a customer asking for a tank with this height and this length and so on, number of layers and so on. And another customer asking for the same size. DriveWorks keep a record of everything being generated before. So if it found that, oh, I did the size before, it will just reuse it, and instead of making duplicate with different file name, which is a very good news for production, because production team hates when they receive the same geometry twice with different file names. I believe all of you agree on this, right? So you see here's the automation happening on my screen now. Even you see the drawing in a moment, the scale is messed up, but DriveWorks will get back to the sheets and will fix each and every drawing sheet scale, moving on to the new part and so on until it finishes all of the geometry. So while this is happening, I'm happy to answer the questions that have been pending in the chat. We will also have enough time at the end for questions as well. So there is a question here from Peter regarding the use of APIs for ERP. Is this a service or a product? So part of DriveWorks license, there is a feature that allow you to do the integration through REST APIs or web services. Those are kind of terminologies that usually IT is aware of. But to give you some story about this, to get you familiar with what I'm speaking about, I'm a mechanical engineer, by the way. I know zero about programming, even ERP systems and this stuff. I didn't touch it like in the last 20 years ever in my life. But when I've been asked to help in integration tasks with ERP, all I did is open up DriveWorks Learning Portal, which is a library of courses. Oh, I'll show it to you. This is happening, so we have time to see some bits and pieces. I access DriveWorks community to learn about integration. How does integration works? So I figured out it's easy to learn. So I did learn it myself. Then I did the integration in 1 week. I'm not trying to say that I'm good at integration. I'm trying to say it's easy for anyone to learn it. If I'm able to learn it in 1 week, this means, I mean, anyone can learn it, anyone can easily explore it and do it themselves. But if you want it to be a service, hey, you have Center Innovation team here. Just ask them, hey, can you do this one for me? I don't want to waste time learning the integration thing. And definitely Center Innovation will support you in this journey. So while the automation is generating this geometry, I will show you what resources we have for you. So whoever buys a DriveWorks license, they get an access to something called Learning Portal. Those are courses that covers everything in DriveWorks: integration, sales configurator, 3D, everything. Um, so after you get the initial training from Center Innovation, you can jump on this and start learning any additional bits and pieces you want to learn. I highlighted the initial training because it's important to get the first push, like to know the structure of software, how it works, and CI has a certified team who can deliver this training. So there's a DriveWorks solo course. I will talk about the products in a moment. And there's a pro courses that covers everything in DriveWorks. Like if you want to learn the 3D preview, how it works and so on, here we go. If you want to learn automating CAD and deployment and integration is here. Starting from like new to integration, know nothing, to expert level. Yeah, so that's a quick look. Automation is still automating some drawings and some bits and pieces. So all the automations that you see it happening here, again, Excel formulas. Like we build in DriveWorks to say, if the user defined the lens and width this way, go and change the dimensions this way. So, it's all about Excel formulas built in DriveWorks. Unfortunately, the time today won't help us to go through it in details and show you the back-end setup. But if you're interested to see the back-end technical setup of the design automation, we're happy to arrange a meeting. Please reach out to Center Innovation team. We'll arrange a meeting to show you how it works in the back end and what other companies in your industries are using DriveWorks already. I will go up on the questions while this is running. Okay, so there is a question here from MJ. If there is hundreds of combination, does DriveWorks knows if a particular combination is already made, and does it save a config of the master model? That's a very interesting question. Like, we got this inquiry before from companies doing trailers, for example. Like, trailers is very complex, and they say, like, is there an easy way to find, is this combinations that I'm typing in the form for the trailer specs being made before or not before I actually DriveWorks to generate? There is some techniques for doing this, yes, because at the end of the day, DriveWorks has this data stored. All the history of the inserted data is available in DriveWorks. So you can ask DriveWorks to store this data in a specific table, and you look it up before you ask for another trailer, either externally data source or externally data source, up to you. Or you can rely on your ERP to be the source of truth, because I'm not talking here about the common parts. We're talking about common large assemblies. So there is definitely a solution for this. Yeah. Okay. In building environments, there is need of publishing 3D model, but most use Revit. Okay. So for the other question from MJ, I mean, the DriveWorks 3D isn't relies like solely on SolidWorks. You can actually import a step file. You can import, I believe, STL. There's different extensions you can import to 3D, not only exclusive to SolidWorks files. Yeah. So, that's a good amount of questions, but I think I answered most of the questions so far. So let's uh, to the next bit. Yeah. So while this automation is happening, let me actually stop it because we generated quite intensive number of files. So I'll stop the automation now because we don't want to wait until it finishes everything. I have a minute or two. I need to wrap it up to give you a chance for questions. So let me show you what has been generated so far. So I'm located in Melbourne, in Australia. So you will notice that the timing of the generated files in the folder that will show up in a moment is actually, those are the files that get generated live now on my machine. That's one part, which is a current plate. And DriveWorks automatically generated folders for organizing the data based on rules. So you feed it to the rules to decide what would be the file name, what's the folder structure. Um, yeah, so and even you will see here there's some DXF files and step files. That's in a folder called enclosure. When I go step back, there's another folder called door that has the doors files. All of this got generated while I was answering some questions here and there. Going one more step back, you see the drawings with the PDF files being prepared and saved. And more, like there is DXFs, I believe. If I go one folder back, there's images and documents, quotation, and so on. Okay, so let's now go back to the PowerPoint and wrap it up. So the setup of DriveWorks is basically you need to prepare a master model. You need to capture it in DriveWorks. You need to highlight what dimension features and what exactly you need to control. You build the UI, then you create the rules. Yeah, so that's basically the steps to build the DriveWorks. Some companies implement DriveWorks in a day or two or a week or two. Some companies take months, 6 months is longer. It depends. But the good thing about DriveWorks is that it's a scalable solution. You can build a small project, get an ROI, move on to the next project, and so on and so on until you complete everything. So you don't wait until you finish everything. No, you're actually getting ROI during the journey of the implementation. Um, okay, so jump ahead in front of all of those slides. Let's introduce what DriveWorks license is available to help you in this journey. Obviously, I mentioned early DriveWorks Express. Yes, it's free, available inside all your SolidWorks licenses, standard, professional, premium, whatever, but it's pretty limited. It can only do part and assembly automation and has very limited functions, doesn't have tables, replace components, all of this. But Solo is a very powerful design automation license. It has a 30 days free trial. You can actually get the free trial by yourself. Just Google DriveWorks Solo trial, and yeah, you go get the code right away and download the software and use it. There is no approval process for this or anything like this. Just go online, and even no credit card, nothing. You just go there, try DriveWorks Solo, you fill in your information there, and you'll get the code and the software to download. And for learning Solo, you can do the self-study in the learning portal to learn it in 1 day as well. So that's how long it will take you to learn Solo, 1 or 2 days max. Solo is very powerful in design automation. It can automate parts and assemblies, drawings, and everything. But we have another level, which is DriveWorks Pro. It has additional functionality in the design automation, which is a hierarchy of projects. If you remember early, I told you you can have main project automating something, another sub project automate a specific sub assembly as an isolated thing. So you can have a project for different assemblies of different products with different hierarchy. So that's Pro. Can have this kind of hierarchy set up in the design automation. But also, Pro can do the integration with PDM, ERP, CRM, any kind of integration, and the sales configurator, obviously, inside Pro as well. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on from here. And yeah, there's heaps of resources. DriveWorks Live is one of them that I showed you early. And yeah, and the solo trial. So that's like most of my quick introduction about what DriveWorks is, but there is way more than this that we can discuss. So please feel free to ask any question in the next few minutes. We are happy to stay over if you would like. And regarding PDM, MaxLink, MaxFlow, DriveWorks, we're here to answer any question you have. I can see we have another question from MJ. Who does it take part? Oh, that was a discussion between you and Amgad before. So okay, let's leave this one for now. I'll get back to you, MJ, on this. OneDrive is not recommended for managing SolidWorks files. Why is this? Is there is any performance issues? I think that's a SODOX question to Shatura and his team to discuss with you, Peter. We have a question from Naimal. If we have a PDM and workflow setup, I believe we can automate tasks. Yes, you can. What's the difference having? Okay, so the tasks that you have in PDM is after you finish the design, after you finish drawings and assemblies and parts, and you would like to automate the PDF and DXF export, you can trigger this task by PDM. So this means you already spent the time in doing the design manually by yourself. So PDM doesn't help you in automating design, it helps you in automating output. But DriveWorks help you to automate the design itself. Like, for example, you know, I'm sure most of you are using SODOX equations, design table, configuration, in context references between design components. All of those are SODOX tools to help you to automate your engineering design. Consider DriveWorks is the next level of those. So those features that I mentioned earlier in SODOX is very powerful, but DriveWorks is kind of the next level. It automates drawing content, it automates replacing components, and goes above and beyond. So you don't compare DriveWorks with PDM, you compare it with those features. I hope that answers your question. Oh yeah, the recording, yeah, that's Alice will get back to you on this. Yeah, no worries. So what other questions do you guys have? Please feel free to type the question in the chat section or the Q&A. I don't think we have any questions in the Q&A. Double checking now. No. Yeah. So please take your time, write down any question you have here, and yeah. Sorry, MJ, I didn't get your last question. So MJ, you asked the question early. Does it save the model as a config of the master model? No, the way the DriveWorks works, it doesn't save additional configuration to the additional model. It actually create a new set of files. There is an ability in DriveWorks to add configurations, but not to the master model. The master model for DriveWorks take a copy of and configure. So that's how it works. And will it work with old SODOX like 2012? Nah, I don't think so. I mean, we have an old versions of DriveWorks that support old versions of SODOX, but 2012 is very, very old, and that wouldn't be supported by a previous version of DriveWorks. I mean, it would be actually not supported version of DriveWorks, and we cannot give you codes for such old license. Have I missed any other question here? Yep, that. Where does it take parts? So if I get your question correctly, MJ, I believe like you decide in DriveWorks, you build a rule for where is the new part should be stored and what would be the new part file name. So you decide all of this in the rules as a function. You say like, I want the file name to include my project number, for example, or any data that you type in the form to be controlling the file name or to be a serial number managed by DriveWorks or PDM. So you control this new parts, and if you have like in certain libraries component or stuff like this, you can feed DriveWorks with the location of the files. So you kind of educate it. Usually, we introduce DriveWorks as kind of rule-based AI system. It's not literally an AI, but if you think about it nowadays, we have heaps of AI platforms that are a generative AI, means it decides by itself. You give it a question, you give it the material, and it decides. But for DriveWorks, no, you educate it. You give it the rules, you give DriveWorks all the formulas and everything, and you own it in-house. It's not in the web, it's not public, so no one can see your rules and your formulas, all this is in-house, like your SODOX license. No one sees what you're doing with your SODOX license, same as DriveWorks. Then it automates everything for you from like data entry till production, if your product is fully can be fully automated. But yeah, there is amazing questions today. Questions do we have so far? Feel free to type in any other questions you have. Maybe will be good to get your feedback. Like, how much do you think the percentage of your engineering process that can be automated? Do you think you can automate 100%? Maybe 20%, 10%? Will be good to get your feedback as well in the chat area. How much you think can be automated from your product processes? Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of discussion in the chat. Shatur, I believe, answering some questions here, and Alice also responding to you guys. So, yeah. I believe we reached the end of the webinar time. So if you have any other question, please don't hesitate to reach out to CI team. Yeah. Oh, 30%. Yeah. 30% is a high percentage. Yeah. Just get a response in the chat. You know, those 30%, just start thinking about like how much it represent as a time from you, and how is it possible to be fully automated or not. So yeah, thanks for your feedback about this. We know companies like they have only 10% of automated tasks, and they end up investing in automation just because the 10% is considered a huge amount of hours of the business. So yeah, thanks so much for your feedback. Yeah, if there is no any other question or feedback, we'll leave it here, and thank you. We'll see you in the next webinar. Thank you all. Thanks so much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the webinar today. See you next time. Thank you. No worries. Thank you, guys.